Hi, welcome to part 3 of Your Whole Self. It's a mini video series where we're taking the conversation about personality beyond extroversion and introversion. In part 1, we looked at where you get your energy from and where you direct your attention. In part 2, we looked at how you take in information. And in this video, part 3, we'll be looking at how you make decisions. And this is all through the lens of the myers-briggs type indicator. And in fact, everything that we talk about today will come from this book, Introduction to Type by Isabel Briggs Myers. And it will be in more of a work context, but really what you learn today can apply in any situation that you're in. So again, today we'll talk about decision making. And when it comes to the Myers-Briggs language, that means that somebody either has a preference for thinking in their decision making process or feeling in their decision making process. And so let's look at each of them individually right now. For someone with a preference for thinking, decision-making is an impersonal, objective, logical process. So they tend to mentally remove themselves from a situation so they can look at it objectively, study the pros and cons, the cause and effect of things. They are more likely to critique, so they'll criticize and look for problems and issues in order to fix things and make things better. Now, for someone who prefers feeling, the decision-making process is a people-centered, values-based process. So they're actually mentally placing themselves into the situation because they want to try to identify with everyone in order to make decisions based on their values about honoring people. So they're more energized by appreciating and supporting others, and they look for qualities to praise. And their goal is to establish harmony and to treat each person as an individual. So what do you do with this information? Well, one, it's important for you to know that you do both of these. When it comes to decision making, you use both your thinking and your feeling function. It's just that you prefer one over the other. In other words, you kind of start with one. One comes more naturally and easily, as if you were, writing your name, if you're right-handed, with your right hand versus your left-handed, just as easy and natural for you. But it's important to know which one you do so that you can make sure that you're engaging the other function as well when you need to, which is most of the time. So for somebody who has a preference for thinking, they're going to approach things objectively, analytically, and critically, but they also need to consider people and alternatives to a solution or a situation. And likewise, somebody with a preference for feeling, they're also going to need to take a moment to be objective, critical, analytical, look at the pros and the cons, the cause and the effect, etc. And if these aren't things that you do naturally or easily, these are things that you can ask other people to help you with. So look for somebody who is more objective, critical, analytical, and ask them for support if you have a preference for feeling, and vice versa if you have a preference for thinking. And if you're kind of in a stalemate with somebody, you're not able to come to agreement or come to a decision together, it might help to check in to see if maybe they have a different preference than you. So somebody with a preference for thinking is typically going to challenge things first. And so that's how you'll know that you're dealing with somebody with a preference for thinking and that you're going to need to bring some objectivity and satisfy their needs for objectivity, kind of removing themselves from the situation, etc. And you'll know if you're dealing with somebody with a preference for feeling, if they're really kind of accepting at first in the process. That's a kind of a hallmark for somebody with a preference for feeling. And so you want to keep an eye out for that and make sure that you are considering people and everybody's values as you guys are going through the process. So what happens next? What do you do once you've decided? Well, you take action in the world. And that's what we're going to look at next time, is kind of how you orient yourself to the world, what your attitude is toward the world. Until then, you can always head on over to my website, elisetouche.com, to learn more about coaching, about what I do, about the Myers-Briggs type indicator, etc. But what you need to know is that I'm a purpose leadership coach, and my purpose is to help you find deep, profound acceptance for who you are, accept others for who they are, and have you guys join together to move each other and the rest of the world to a better place. Thanks for watching.